Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, church family. It is hump day, and you are now tuned into the pre worship experience. I'm your host, Miss Krystal Goodner Spratt, and boy, do we have so much to talk about. But guess what? I'm not doing it by myself. I am bringing in the fabulous, the lovely. Listen, she truly does not need an introduction. We love her here. She's one of our own. Councilwoman Miss Paula McCraney. Good evening, Councilwoman. How are you?
Hello. Good. Good to see you, Krystal.
Well, it's good to see you, and you are looking quite fabulous. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year is right. You know what? I normally stay up after midnight every year so that I can usher in a new year. But this year I was a little pessimistic. I think I stayed up to make sure that 2020 left us.
I think I know what you're saying to keep looking around. Is it gone? Is it gone?
Exactly. Adios, adios, sayonara, bye bye.
Adios. But talking off camera, you shared with me that you were among the many hundreds of our wonderful church members that tuned in to our watch night service. Talk about it. Could you believe what we went through as a church family in 2020? And you said something very heartfelt, touched you in this experience. Talk about that.
Well, I tell you, the entire night was incredible. Just to hear from everybody about what went into making sure we were live when we couldn't really be in the service.
Yes.
And that was wonderful. But what really touched my heart was the memoriam. And when I saw all of the church members who had passed, it just warmed my heart and it ached my heart. I tell you, I could think, I said, I didn't know. Oh my, she died. Oh, he passed away. And to think that one day we will go back into the sanctuary and I won't get to hug those members. It just hurts so badly to think about that.
And you're bringing something up that I guess a lot of us didn't think about, but looking at the memorial and seeing how many people we lost. And that's why it's so important to, love on one another while we're here and while we still have the chance. So go ahead, give us some hearts, give us some likes, and share this broadcast. You're tuned into the pre worship experience. Service begins at 7 p.m., and you do not want to miss a powerful word from the Lord. Real quick, Councilwoman McCraney, Rev's sermon on Sunday. It's about time, where he talked about the importance of time and talked about not squandering time. What a timely word to start us off in the new year. Did that resonate with you?
Well, he's always profound, and every sermon is always timely. But that right there was just the way to kick 2021 into gear. And I tell you what, if we don't watch our time and if we don't really abide by, we have just so much to live for, and we've got to give it our all in the time that we have. I tell you what, my Rev is something else.
I like that, my Rev. And speaking of time, you called it such a time as this. When you decided to run for office, the city looked a lot different than what it looked like now, but you kind of felt as if the Lord knew what he was preparing you for such a time as this. Talk about it.
Well, in fact, you're absolutely correct. The city looks totally different than when it was that I ran for office. And while I certainly didn't know the interworkings of government behind the scenes, I knew what our community looked like and I knew what some of the community needs were. But I tell you, my first year on the job, in fact, the first month, we were presented with a budget. And I understand that it had been the worst budget ever presented to the Metro Council since its inception. And what was so incredible about it was presented to us as if we needed to raise taxes. And it was, if we didn't do it, then social services would be cut, police officers would be cut, the budget for youth development would be cut. And I mean, we were presented with a dire opportunity. and it looked just really negative. And so that's why I say I was indeed allowed to win my race for such a time as this, because my background is in banking and I'm a former lender. And so what I did was take that big budget binder and I looked through every page and I wanted to discover if indeed we need to raise taxes. I want to be able to justify it to my constituents. But as I was going through the budget binder, I was seeing things where I thought, well, if we move this over here and if we just do this, let me ask about this program. Is it effective? If not, let's do away with it. And so I started asking questions and pushing back on some of the rhetoric. And lo and behold, we didn't have to raise taxes. I saw that we had enough to survive and to pay the pension bill that we had before us. And I stuck to what I knew, my training in banking and listening to my constituents, and I did the right thing. I voted against the tax increase. At the end of the year, we had a $17 million surplus.
Whoa.
That lets you know
wow.
I did the right thing, and we did not have to raise taxes.
You did the right thing. You continue to keep doing the right thing. Let's talk about what took place today. I know that you have been very busy when the city mayor, Greg Fisher, announced the new police chief. Her name is Erica Shields, and she is the former Atlanta police chief who stepped down after one of her officers fatally shot a Black man. So she's taking over as the leader of Louisville's police force. How did you feel about the decision? What's the feeling like in the air down there?
Well, what I do know is that it's going to take each and every one of us in this community to rally behind this announcement and to make certain that she is successful. And she's going to be only as effective and successful as we allow her to be. So when they made the announcement, what I heard was she rose to the top. She was the cream of the crop of what they looked at, the resumes that they reviewed and the people that they interviewed. So I have to trust that the people on that panel, which actually 3 of my own colleagues were a part of that process. I have to trust the process. And so here she is. She's starting on the 19th, and we've got to give her an opportunity to succeed.
Wow, an opportunity to succeed. One of the big parts of this year, and a lot of people are looking forward to, is the Civilian Review Board. And I understand that you all have already made your selections, and one of them is our very own. But talk about that.
Okay, so here's another piece of listening to the community and police reform and all types of civil injustice and reforming the way we see our community, right? The Civilian Review Board. And I am so very proud of the work that we have done to create the Civilian Review and Accountability Board. And the Metro Council had 3 seats that we could nominate for the 11-member board members. And so out of the 3 seats, we could nominate 2 names for each of those seats. And we then had to go back and say, for this seat, this is a 1-year term. This seat is a 2-year term. And the 3rd seat that we have to nominate for, it's a 3-year term. And we were very careful. There was a 3-member selection committee that the president of the Metro Council put together. I happen to have been one of the 3 to get to look at the 75 applications that we received through Metro Council. Yeah. And so we had to look at a lot, and we were careful to look at not only their qualifications, but to look at demographics, to make sure we had a balance in racial equity on our nominating slate, to make sure we had the sex correct, enough women, enough men. And we looked at geographic area. And so we know that we have what we think is a very good slate of candidates. And so out of our 6 names that we have forwarded to the mayor, he gets to choose 3. And you're right. In the first year term for seat 1, we have two very good candidates, Jennifer Green and Mark McCoy. And we all know and love Mark McCoy, right?
Yes, we do.
And look, I must say, I didn't choose him because I love him. I chose him because he rose to the top. And
Wow.
we were careful, again, by making sure that we had West End residents, South End residents. And so he represented the West very, very well. He looks good on paper.
Yes.
So, yeah. And so in the 2-year seat, we have a gentleman who is an attorney, and he's from Prospect area, and he is put on the 2-year seat term with a West End resident who is a community activist. Her name is Sherlina Watkins. And the guy that she's paired with is Scott Dickens. So in the 3-year seat, we have a former policeman and a former firefighter, Charles Keys and Richard Pearson. So I think we did a great job. It wasn't an easy task. We had to whittle down 75 names to get to 6.
Wow.
I tell you, any one of them will do a great job being on that board.
And listen, Councilwoman, we can't wait to see what comes from this new initiative. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening to you. Come on into the room. Come on into the room. Welcome to the pre-worship experience. Bible study begins at 7 p.m. And go ahead and do us a favor. Be a digital disciple and share this broadcast. Just having some good conversation with our very own Councilwoman, Miss Paula McCraney. And you said something when Alex chose our, layout. It's got a lot of blue in there, and that kind of means something today, right?
Well, I think Georgia did its thing today. And I think we turned it blue today, and it means a lot. It's not only symbolic in the fact that a Black man was chosen for the first time to represent his state in the Senate. Yes. And I understand that the other gentleman is perhaps Jewish or of some nationality that is certainly a historic moment. And I tell you what, we had to depend on Georgia to save this nation. And I think they came through for us today.
Listen, the Reverend Raphael Warnock, the senior pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, will be the first Black senator from Georgia, and he defeated Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler. How powerful. People keep sharing this meme that says, my mother's 82-year-old hands that once picked cotton went to the polls and picked her youngest son to be U.S. Senator. Who is that not powerful?
Yeah, it is. I mean, and we can all say that as African Americans or Adolf people. We can say the hands that once picked cotton now are picking presidents, are now picking an African American to represent as vice president. I mean, that shows you the collective power of the people. And right now, as we speak, the Senate and the Congress, they're meeting. And some of the senators and some of the representatives are trying to overturn the election. And so once you really recognize that democracy is really where we need to be, and there's no way that if we just follow the will of the people, our nation will be healed. We will do the right thing by the people who put you in office.
That's right.
But they're going to learn. They let them do this little theatrics that they're doing. But we know who's in control. And on January the 20th, on that bright day in Washington, D.C., we're going to have a new president and a new vice president of these United States of America.
Come on on down. She deserves some thumbs ups and some hearts and some hugs. And go, Paula. Paula for president for that speech. Right there. So I'm just going to say it. People have been saying it, that it is Black women that is constantly saving our nation. We heard her name back in November, and we're hearing it resoundingly today. She's trending on Twitter, and I'm talking about Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams, the former Georgia House Minority Leader and founder of Fair Fight, which is an organization she created that addresses voter suppression. This is church, Miss Paula, so we can get all the way biblical about it. Talk about when she went to, do her run for governor of Georgia in 2018. A lot of people were upset. And we could possibly say that there was some not so fair things going on with voting. And so rather than her, be depressed and walk on, she decided to mobilize and truly came back in 2020 and 2021 and made history. Is that not beautiful?
I tell you, when you do right by the people,
yeah,
you're destined for great things. That is the bad woman. That's my girl.
yeah.
And we have not heard the last of her. I mean, when you talk about boots on the ground, she was able to get the soldiers out to do what they needed to do. Knock on those doors, send those letters, talk to people, bring mama them to the polls. And they did their thing in Georgia. I'm so proud of her and so many others that took that mantle upon their shoulders and said, we've got to get this done. If we don't do this and we don't get this right, when will it be the time? And they knew that they had to seize on this moment, and they did.
Oh my goodness, Miss Paula, as we are sitting here talking, and again, hello, welcome to the pre-worship experience. Service begins at 6:30. You talk about Rev being a prophet, and we all know it. And for him, for his first sermon of the new year to be about time, for such a time as this, not wasting or squandering any time, but it's about time. So you're a very busy woman. I'm going to let you go in a bit, but real quick, could you leave our church members with a word about really seizing every moment in this new year?
Well, you know what? We always say where God guides, he will provide. We have to remember that. And so we just have an infinite amount of time in God's timing. We don't know when that is. It could be tomorrow. It could be next year. It could be 30 years from now. But the time that we have, the moment we get out of the bed, put our feet on the ground, we've got to utilize every minute, every second to do right by each other and just do the will that the Lord has placed on your heart. And I'm telling you what, I see a great up on the horizon nation, and we're all going to benefit. There's good things to come in 2021, but it's going to be up to us to seize the moment, listen to how God is guiding you, and just don't squander any moment of time.
Amen and amen. Councilwoman McCraney, you want to give any shout outs before we get out of here?
Well, I certainly always put out a shout out to my colleagues because there's a lot of work to be done. And while I believe we've accomplished quite a bit in 2020, 2021 is the building year. We laid the foundation on last year after listening to the protesters, listening to our constituents, seeing the civil unrest. So we had to start building on that foundation. This year is building time. We got to put up the post. We have to build the walls, and then we're going to have to put on the roof. And when we do, when we know we have this house in order, that's this Louisville, Kentucky house, then things are going to be so much brighter. We started today with the new police chief. We're going to have a new civilian review board, and there's so many other reforms to come.
All right. Councilwoman McCraney, we thank you. We love you. And you just keep making your church family proud.
Well, you keep doing what you do. I love you too. Love my church family. Thank you for having me today.
Thanks so much again to Councilwoman McCraney for hanging out with us and putting us on notice on the latest happenings right here in our city. Again, welcome to the pre-worship experience. I'm your host, Miss Krystal Goodner Spratt, and Happy New Year. Speaking of Happy New Year, we are still floating and riding on a high after a very successful watch night pre-show and worship service. Listen, we want to thank everyone for sending us the notes and sharing your thoughts. And everyone continues to bring up one of the most touching moments was the memorial video. You know, Councilwoman McCraney mentioned it as well. And it was an opportunity to acknowledge loved ones. It was an opportunity to acknowledge members and loved ones and friends of members here at St. Stephen Church that we lost in 2020. And we could not have completed this project if it was not for the wonderful Mr. Tony Wilson Browder. Tony Wilson Browder was instrumental in doing a lot of legwork for the memorial presentation. And Tony, we just want to tell you we love you. We thank you so much. And I know the families thank you so much for all the hard work to make sure that memorial came off successful as it did. So let's give some thumbs up and hearts to Mr. Tony Wilson Browder. We thank you so much. Now, here is news going on here at St. Stephen Baptist Church. Hey, earlier today, we had a wonderful West Louisville Forum. It was the first West Louisville Forum of January of 2021. And we had an exciting conversation, Biden and the future of Black America. And joining in the conversation was Congressman John Yarmouth, Antonio Moore, and Yvette Carnell. And thanks again goes out to Mr. Gilbert Corsi of WDRB for moderating that discussion, a very proud St. Stephen member. And so thanks to everyone that tuned into that discussion. So we told you about it, the new January Sunday School series debuting here at the Stephen. Don't die in the winter. Lesson 1, God is a God of seasons. Lesson 2, no cross, no crown. Lesson 3, out of sync, out of season. So make sure you join us and take part in this Bible study, in this Sunday School series, and truly get a good word from the Lord. Hey, also coming up is the Men's Ministries Book Club, and it's starting back tonight, held every Wednesday night from 8:45 to 9:45. Make sure you get the book. The book is The Cross and the Lynching Tree by Mr. James H. Cone. And the Zoom host will be our wonderful, I'm gonna find a new word, not ever fabulous all the time, but wonderful. Our host will be Deacon Ed Maxwell. And again, we love everything he does for our men's ministry. Such a wonderful leader. We thank him so much for that. And for more information, if you have questions about any of the activities or events that we're mentioning here, be sure to drop us a line. You can send us an email at info@ssclive.org, info@ssclive.org. Now it's time to talk about the ladies coming up this Saturday. SASSY, which stands for Sisters at St. Stephen with Impact meetings at Sisters at St. Stephen's. That's what SASSY stands for, Sisters at St. Stephen's with Impact. They are going to be meeting every second Saturday at noon. And the topic will be, oh my Lord, what a timely word, handling grief. Handling grief. So be sure to join them. They're kicking it off this Saturday at noon, and the topic will be handling grief. And for more information, you can send them an email at sis@ssclive.org. That's sis@ssclive.org. And coming up on Sunday, we will be partaking in communion, an opportunity to partake in the Lord's blood and his body as we commemorate the Lord's Supper. We're going to be doing our online Lord's Supper again coming up this Sunday, January 10th. So it's going to be an opportunity for you to have enough time to go out and get those crackers, get your juice, get some wine, whatever, and be sure to have what you need in hand to partake in Communion Sunday with us coming up this Sunday for the 9:30 a.m. service. All right, women of the Word Bible study. Have you taken part in it yet? Well, it's going to be taking place on January 11th, but are you registering? Are you making plans to attend? Give me some thumbs and some thumbs up and some hearts to let me know that you are excited and can't wait to take part in it. It's going to be facilitated by the lovely sister Cynthia Shelby, and it's kicking off on January 11th, Monday nights. And the book of the month will be Trusting God by Miss Catherine Shirey. And so go ahead and get your books and be ready to join us. Just another opportunity to participate in spiritual closeness during this time of social distancing. So ladies, go ahead and be sure to register for that Bible study. And then I need you to save the date. It is going down on Saturday, January 23rd, 10 a.m. It's the virtual prayer conference, Making All Things New. Conference speakers include Reverend Atina Finley, and she's the associate pastor of Kingdom Fellowship Christian Life Center, and Pastor Timothy Finley Jr. You know, he preached for our pastor's anniversary, and they are just full of fire. And our special guest psalmist will be Miss Anicia Creighton. This is going to be a dynamic worship experience. So mark your calendars and make sure that you are making plans to join us on Saturday, January 23rd from 10 to 12 for this virtual prayer conference, Making All Things New. Hallelujah. How many of you are claiming that God is going to be making all things new for you in 2021? I am claiming that as well. And I am claiming that for us collectively as a church family. Hey, we want to thank you. You know, we couldn't do what we do here at the Stephen if it was not for you. So we thank you for your faithfulness in viewing. We thank you for just meeting us here every week on Wednesdays and on Sundays, and sharing the broadcast and participating and just everything you do. And we could not do, again, what we do as a ministry if it was not for you. And we also could not continue ministry if it was not for your generosity and your good stewardship. Yes, paying tithes allows us to continue ministry here at St. Stephen Baptist Church. And so here are the ways to give at St. Stephen. You can also always give via our app. You can download the St. Stephen app in the App Store, in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. So simply download it, and I'm telling you, you will enjoy all of the features on our app. You can also mail in your tithes and offering. Make sure you make it to the attention of the trustee board. Our address is 1018 South 15th Street, 40210. You can also give online. Be sure to visit us online. Our web address is ssclive.org, ssclive.org. Visit us there and click give. You can also give via Cash App. Our cash tag is simple, $SSC Live 1. That's $SSC Live 1. And please be sure to leave your name, email address, or phone number in the memo line so we can give you credit for your giving. And last but not least, you can text to give. Text the amount to keyword SSC Live to 77977. That's SSC Live to 77977. And those are the ways to give to St. Stephen Church. And we appreciate you and thank you in advance for your obedience. Hey, it's time to get into birthdays. My time is winding it down. And you know, the praise team, the music ministry, they want all of their time, okay? So let me go ahead and give these birthday shout outs as we get ready for Bible study, which begins at 7 p.m. Happy birthday to Rico, our lovely, one of our wonderful media specialists, Mr. Rico Ransom is celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday goes to Donna Austin and Kenneth Stanton. Happy birthday to each and every one of you. And if you're celebrating a birthday, we want to wish you a very happy birthday as well. Hey, before we go into service, if you aren't a member of St. Stephen Baptist Church and you are interested in becoming part of this ministry, send us an email. Email us at newstart@ssclive.org. If you have any questions about anything that I've announced today, or you have an announcement you want to get out, or you've got a birthday that you want to have us mention, you can email us also at info@ssclive.org. Well, that's all the time I have here. And I don't know about you, but I am ready to get my praise on. God has been so good, so faithful. And we're going to start 2021 with the continuing on praise. So share this broadcast, bring some people in the room, and let's all come together and lift up the name of the Lord. Welcome to Bible Study.